Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. That's just like I watch a lot of YouTube and I know of another guy who says exactly those words at the start of every video. Shouldn't be copying other people's content. So just like the episode 2 episodes back, this video is not sponsored by neotericbrass.com, which is a website that you could go to if you like and purchase. I said purchase funny again. You could buy my ebooks. You could buy trumpet mouthpieces that I have helped to design, mouthpieces that I use exclusively in my professional music endeavors. You could buy a mug that has the wrong phone number on it. I really need to take that down. Or you could get one of those funky tongue-controlled embouchure traffic sign t-shirts that I'm often wearing in the interviews. Anyway, so, no sponsorship here, but pop along to the website, buy some stuff. Just whilst I'm on the subject of shilling for money, do let me know in the comments if you're interested in me starting up the Patreon again. I used to have a bunch of people that paid me for, that did the Patreon thing. The wisdom of my mum is to tell people that it's just like a magazine subscription. Back in the day, we would pay a certain amount every month just to see, to get a magazine through the door. And this isn't much different. You're just paying me to be bothered to sit here and talk about trumpets. I don't know if it's a good idea. I actually got really stressed out last time I had a Patreon because suddenly there was a reason for me to be doing the TCE online content, and I didn't feel that it was good enough content. And I felt pressured to answer every comment the second immediately after it came in. And so I would be on a break at a gig at the other end of the country on my phone, struggling with signal, trying to respond some lengthy answer to a question that would have taken a 5-minute video or less to explain. And so, I'm considering it if you're interested, but let's find out. Let's find out from you. Should I or should I not restart the Patreon? Are you enjoying me pounding too much coffee and then jabbering on about my experience with the TCE yet? Are you enjoying it yet? That's the best way to put it. Okay, so this is, I'm going to try and keep this video a little shorter because if I don't, I will be late for work. I was just looking through my YouTube statistics, and it turns out that my 2 most popular videos, shock horror, happen to be how to increase your range on the trumpet up to double high C, and that terrible one I made in 2018 where I played a double high C on a Vincent Bach 1¼ C. I'm sure that they are popular because of the words double high C or because of the words Vincent Bach. It's just, it's clickbaity. I think that the one with the range growing exercise, that exercise is legitimately good. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe if I was to restart the Patreon channel and you paid me £16 a month, then I would tell you the secret of how to play high notes on the trumpet. But don't bother because I'm about to tell you anyway. This is the thing. Like, TCE is seen by many as being a high note method. I think that many people will use that as a reason to criticize and maybe to say, oh, it's not a valid method. It's just for high notes and all this sort of stuff. Partly because, let's be honest, that's exactly how it's marketed for the best part of 50 years. Not that TCE existed for 50 years, but that's what Jerome Khalett did, is he went out in the world and he said, I can play high notes better than anyone on earth. I challenge you to prove me wrong. He got himself kicked out of trumpet conferences for being obnoxious, basically, for playing high notes all day, too loud. But so the thing is, you read all the materials. I think it's the Super Chops book that the bit in the front just says, for the first 30 years of his life, Jerome Kallett couldn't play a high C, and then he used himself as he experimented on his own embouchure until he discovered the trumpet yoga and scientific breakthrough. Let's all learn to play high notes and all this business. But honestly, I think that by the time you get to Trumpet Secrets and TCE, I think we've all just grown up a bit. And yeah, sure, I think that this method will enable you to reach your full potential as a player, whatever that may be. And I think that this method will allow you to develop range to double high C, but there are also other methods that will allow you the same, and maybe you'll prefer to go down that path if that's who you are. I've got to sort of stress that back in the day, the information just wasn't available to people, and so if you met a man at a conference who could nail a double high C, and he told you he was the only one who could teach you to do the same, you might believe him. Because if you're in New York, you're not going to be mingling with the amazing trumpet teachers in Chicago or anywhere else in the world. What about the Europeans? Yes, we exist too. And Jerry Kallett certainly wasn't the only person on earth to discover how to play high notes on the trumpet. Anyway, point is, for me, TCE is absolutely the best way to develop the most solid fundamentals on the trumpet. And you're going to develop your embouchure. You're going to have centered sound, efficient, easy playing. You're going to develop stamina. You're going to and just if everything is all lined up, then you're going to develop range. But this is the thing, is sometimes I sell it like this. I say to people, well, look, how much effort do you use to play a G at the top of the staff? Is it something like 80% of your effort or more? Let's reduce that to 40 and see what you can do with your effort now. That's one way of looking at it. We're just becoming more efficient. We're putting less effort into achieving the same thing. Put in less, get more out. Another way of looking at it is just to go, actually, when you play correctly, whatever that may be, when you play correctly, you will be in tune. Your intonation will be much improved. And if your intonation is good, then it means that the harmonics that are present in your sound are all aligned. And magic woo-woo stuff means that it's easier to excite the overtones that are available on any given length of tube as a result of those overtones resonating regardless of which pitch you're playing. I mean, this is sort of like when Stomvy, and particularly the Stomvy USA guys like, I'm going to say his name wrong, K.O. Skinsness, talks about, why a Stomvy trumpet. I happen to play one. This video is not sponsored by anybody. When he talks about how Stomvy is simply easier to play, that's why. It's because the intonation on that instrument is just amazing. I mean, buying a Stomvy trumpet ruined my interest in vintage instruments because I'm not going to say I can't play anything else. I just don't want to play anything else. I've got loads of cool instruments lying around here, and I pick them up and I play them, and it's fun, and I get into how they sound. And after a while, I just start to go, I'm working harder than I have to because the harmonics aren't where they're meant to be. And that's what a modern instrument will do for you. But it's also what a good embouchure and correct approach to technique will do for you, it will make your intonation much, much better, which means that you're putting less effort into exciting the harmonics and playing the pitches. And, long story short, playing in pitch center means that you'll be better at high notes. That's not all there is to it, but it certainly is a lot of what there is to it. And so this is the thing, if you're not putting physical effort into playing the first 2.5 octaves of the trumpet, which most people think is its entire range, or not most people, a lot of that's the textbook range. If you get encyclopedia out, it's going to tell you that you've got 2.5 octave range. If you're using half the effort to do that or less, then you've got so much more to put into the octave that follows. And what you'll learn is that actually once you start putting that effort in, you'll probably regret it, because you'll start overblowing, you'll start pinching with the chops, you'll start allowing the tongue to recede if you are using the TCE, and we don't want that to happen. The thing is, a lot of the older methods, you'll have found that a teacher will have fixated on certain ideas, and you could even say the same about Jerry Kallett, really, because if you look at the Brass Power and Endurance book, for example, I think the introduction text to that book is some of the most inspired criticism of trumpet pedagogy that exists. But he basically spends that book talking about how it's the forward and backward movement of the jaw that is going to help you manipulate pitch. And I can't help thinking that, you're going to start off downstream, and then at some point in your range, you're going to switch to upstream. And that's not good. We don't want to be, surely the Reinhardt guys would say, well, you need to play with one pivot. You do not want to change your airstream direction by manipulating the jaw. But he dropped that idea, so let's leave it in the past. However, I don't think that it's incorrect to recognize that people with perfect teeth alignment tend to find it easier to play. Is it true? Oh, I shouldn't have made such a statement like that. I don't want to be going down that path of making firm affirmations that the reason you can't play high notes is because you don't have straight teeth. Look at my teeth. They're terrible. I don't have, nothing lines up in there. And it's getting worse. It's been getting worse over the last 5 years, certainly. But you can see it was never good. When I was about 13 years old, an orthodontist actually said to me, you can play the cornet or you can have straight teeth. But, the one you choose means that you're giving up on the other. And I chose the cornet. So thanks for that, music. But why not commit your life to something? Okay, so all I'm saying is, my personal experience is that having an underbite leads me down a path where above a certain pitch, I tend to close the jaw and pinch the lips, and all of a sudden air can't get through, and that's why my range used to stop at G over high C. Now, thankfully, that's all the range I've ever really needed, except for a few big band pieces I've played in recent years that go up to an A. But I've talked in the past about how I did weird things with my chops that enabled me to get much, much higher than that. Like, we're talking almost an octave more. And one of the reasons that I think I could do that was because I was pushing the jaw forward, which is uncomfortable and unnatural. And it's, I've learned since that I should have just stuck to my exercises and, maintained one method of developing. Because something that Khaled did talk about is that, you can see and hear when the embouchure loses grip and you start to overblow. And that's kind of where the work should be done. He always sort of said, well, Ralph Salamoni says, stay in your happy zone. And this is a very similar thing. It is, you should not play higher than you can play with an easy free sound. the words easy and free are ones that I stuck in there, but that's, he said a full loud sound or something to that effect, paraphrasing. And and the idea is that the limit of your range will develop as you develop. Again, it's one of those things. If you're using 100% of your effort to play a high F, let's reduce that effort to 80%, and all of a sudden you've got 20% more to put into it. And I know I'm just contradicting. It's one of those things. You go round and round in circles with this stuff, but the logic is there. We just want to make things more efficient. So much of the time I'll have a little practice session where I spend a long time doing Einsätzen, Ansätzen, double pedal tone methods, double pedal tone exercises. And then I'll take a break and return to the instrument and go, oh, it's so much easier when you stop blowing so hard. I'm still telling myself that after all these years. It never really changes. Anyway, there we go. I think somewhere in there, I told you how to play double high C on the trumpet. If you missed it, go back and watch it again, because we can get my views up. And if we get my views up, then YouTube will pay me money to sit here and talk to you about trumpets, which is probably, that might be a scam, but let's not tell anyone. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye for now.